So we're going to do a thumb spica splint on this patient, which will involve the patient's thumb and then this side of the arm. So we go from the tip of the thumb, just leaving the very distal end exposed, to you can do a couple of inches from the crease of the elbow to the end of the splint here. So there's a few special considerations for the thumb spica. One of the most important is our stockinette. So we're going to start with a stockinette that looks just like any other arm. We'll cut our thumb hole nice and big so that we don't impede the thumb's range of motion. But next, we're going to do a little bit of extra stockinette because we're going to have splinting material on the thumb, which means that we need to protect it from the tip down. So what I have here is a piece of 1-inch stockinette, which you'll measure so that you have a few inches on this end and then a few extra inches to fold over at the end of the thumb. The best way to do this is at the very end, cut until you're about to cut all the way through the stockinette. So you make a nice wide cut, and then this little round piece we're going to stretch out and go over the patient's wrist entirely. Then when we twist this stockinette around, we'll cover the thumb. It'll be secured by this very loose band that we've created, and we still have the end to fold over our splint. You do want to keep in mind that we don't want a ton of overlap here, but we also don't want to add too much tape or bulk to the base of the thumb just yet, just for the patient's comfort. But we've covered the skin, so we'll start our padding. We'll use the 2-inch web reel to do the padding around the thumb. Just like all of our other splints, you want 3 inches worth of padding, 3 layers worth of padding. But sometimes, we've gotten the 2 layers here, you'll have to tear it off and then come back around for that 3rd layer. So when we've reached the 3rd layer on the thumb, we can wrap it around and anchor to the hand here. Half tear up, wrap around to the thumb again, and we'll fold any major overlap as we go. We're only padding here to the palmar crease. We won't have the fingers involved here. We want them to be able to move. And we want to be sure that we get our 3 layers, especially at the base of the thumb, because we'll have more dense splinting material there. Once we've gotten those layers on the hand, we can go ahead and switch to a bit wider web reel, and we'll complete the padding of the rest of the arm. You want to make sure to prevent any major wrinkles as we go, so that there isn't pressure points being created underneath our splinting material. So once we've got our padding on, we can measure. And this time we're going to measure from the tip of the thumb down this lateral side of the arm and to our few inches from the end of the elbow. Okay, so we've cut our splint material. We need to make sure to roll the ends of our fiberglass in so that we aren't giving our patients fiberglass splinters. So once we roll that in, we pull this outer layer out, press this together, and then go ahead and pick off any extra little pieces of fiberglass that you may see. Same thing on the other side. We're rolling in. And then it just takes a tiny bit of water, 1 or 2 tablespoons of moisture, to get this splint activated. You're going to work the water all the way down into the end of the splint, and you can start to see the water dripping out the bottom. It really doesn't take a lot to get this splint activated, and we don't want a wet splint sitting on a patient's arm, so we need to make sure to press that all out. Now for the thumb spica, we need to make sure that we get most of the way around the thumb, and we're going to have the patient do as best they can a thumbs up motion, but they don't need to fold their fingers in. Just give us that thumbs up, and then we're going to set this with the thick side down, wrap the thumb, and then get our stockinette over. Okay, so that was enough stockinette to kind of hold that thumb portion in place. With a thumbs up, it is tricky to keep the splint material, the orthoglass, from doing a lot of bunching up here at the top. So what we'll do is kind of come around and smooth that out in just a minute. We'll secure our stockinette at the end. And then we just work that orthoglass in and stretch it around the best we can to reduce any major bunching here. Once that's on, we can go ahead and secure our splint with our bias, but we'll just need to bring this piece of stockinette down around the hand. And then often, depending on how long of the stockinette you used for the fingers, you may have to make a little cut there so we don't have bunching between the thumb and the rest of the hand. So we'll secure here at the base of the thumb. And you can use a smaller bias if you want, but I think that this 3 inches just fine. Come around the base of the thumb. You can make a halfway up cut. And then just fold that guy down. And then over the top of the thumb, we'll use that accordion method, so we pinch on either side, nice and smooth. We'll lay this flat over the thumb and then let it fan out over the bottom of the hand. And then we can start to work our way down the wrist. So we don't need a lot of layers of this bias. So if you wanted to cut here, and make sure the thumb is still in that thumbs up, they have full range of motion, and you can do your taping.